Was that the fire? I came down for their wedding, which had been planned for some time. 11th the 11th up in Naivasha. So I took some time, a couple of days off work, flew down for the event. And you know, a number of friends there. There was some 100 people at the event. And on the day of the wedding, which I think was the 11th, we completed that, the reception, and then later that evening we were helping to coordinate, at least I was helping to coordinate the band and the mixers and this sort of thing. In fact, I had to go into Naivasha to get some cash from an ATM machine, and the chap who actually shot me drove me into Naivasha. We came in back to the wedding and we were coordinating paying the band, and just prior to then, walking from the car, it was dark at this stage, walking from the car back over to the marquees where the band and the entertainment was to be set up. That's when I heard the shot of a gun, or a loud bang anyway, and I remember getting thrown across the room and into chairs and everything like that. I had no control of my body. It was quite a bloody horrible feeling. And the first thing that actually occurred to me was I electrocuted myself. You know, I walked into all of the cables and so forth for the mixing and the band. And I was still conscious, but I hit the floor. And I couldn't move the lower part of my body. Upper part of the body I could move slightly. And one of the chaps who was doing the mixing, an English gentleman, came and he noticed the gunshot wound just here, just slight. In fact, it was very slight. It looked like it was just a graze. Yeah. As it turned out, the bullet had entered into the shoulder, through the lung, and came to rest, which we later found out at the back of the shoulders on the right-hand side. Surgery was done. It almost went wrong, but came through that. And then I spent, I think it was about 4 days in the ICU, 4 to 5 days there. And then transferred into one of the wards, and then about I can barely remember now, maybe 4 or 5 weeks, 6 weeks in that area, and then eventually we were transferred through to here. The bullet itself was actually removed about 3-4 days after coming out of ICU. It was just sitting up there lodged under the skin. It wasn't a particularly difficult procedure to get that. Bullet itself was intact, and that's pretty much about it, really. After the incident, himself and his father actually came to us and said, "We'll take care of everything. We'll take care of the loss of income and the all of the hospital and medical bills that you have incurred and will incur, and we'll basically, you know, we'll negotiate a whole settlement," which in fact we did. That was to be effected about 5 weeks ago. We agreed on everything, and then poof, they disappeared. They basically gave us a document, and we came back to them with basically an agreement to the amounts, but just in a different format of terms. And at that point there, everything was sort of agreed upon on a gentleman's basis, you know. So, but then it was just after that, when it was actually supposed to be settled, or at least in part, then they just went off communication, and you know, we haven't heard from them for 5, 6 weeks now. Yeah. So initially they put $1 million Kenyan shillings into the hospital where they're going, but
1 million.
Yeah, and then. I think the hospital bills for those 2 months came to about 3.5, something to that effect, plus other expenses for the nurses that we pay for. So we ended up having to cop all of those expenses. So it was a bit of a draw, you know. So not only losing the income, now we had to go and pay all of the hospital expenses and all the rest of it. That hurts, you know, particularly when you know you haven't got another income coming through. But personally, I don't know what the hell he was doing with the gun in the first place. At a wedding, at a family gathering with kids there and older people. Who carries a gun in a wedding, you know?
So were they like having a confrontation aside, or he was playing just with his gun and then it went off? What is?
No, he was just carrying. He does have a permit for the gun, I wasn't aware that he was actually wearing it or carrying it. How it came out of the holster and came to be that the bullet was discharged, well, one that was loaded and a bullet was discharged and hit me is something that needs to be looked into a bit closer. But I'm pretty sure most other people who attended the wedding weren't carrying firearms, much less loaded ones. But obviously the impact of the bullet going through into the back has caused a great deal of swelling around the spine. It's done some damage to the T3 and T4 vertebrae, I understand, and possibly some bone fragments that come from that. So obviously the upper spine's quite agitated, and with the swelling there, it's going to inhibit any sort of any signals or any movement down to the feet. So not until such time as that sort of swelling goes down, we really know that you've got proper nerve pass to be able to sort of get things moving. Physiotherapy is the only real way to sort of make progress with that. But I just get a constant sort of pain in the upper back in that area, and because actually it's the same area where I'm perpetually leaning on, whether I'm sitting down or lying down. So that's always a constant sort of area of pain. Quite sore around this area. This whole area around here is, well, it feels like I've been shot, to be honest. Other than that, I feel fantastic.